North Macedonia, a place with many names, many borders, and even more arguments about who truly belongs here. For years, people have fought over identity. Proud families passing down stories, sure their blood is pure, their roots unbroken, their history clear as daylight. They look at their faces, their language, their family names, and say, "We have always been here. We are one people. Our line is straight, back to the beginning." But what if that's all an illusion? Because deep inside their cells, in the quiet spiral of their DNA, something different is hidden. Scientists took samples, expecting proof of old legends, but what they found turned everything upside down. The DNA did not tell a simple story. It whispered about forgotten migrations, about families that moved, mixed, vanished, or simply changed their name when war rolled over the land. It showed how borders shifted, how new people came in, others disappeared, and nothing stayed pure for long. Picture it. Tribes crossing mountains by torchlight, soldiers on horses, merchants from far kingdoms trading gold for salt, mothers cradling babies who would grow up with secrets in their veins. Each migration, each invasion, each peace treaty left something behind, not just in old ruins, but inside the people themselves. The map kept changing, the blood kept mixing, until no one could truly say who started this story. So, what if your ancestors aren't who you thought they were? What if your family legend is only a part of the truth? Does it change who you are? Or does it make your story even bigger? If you're fascinated by lost histories and ancient DNA mysteries, subscribe for more untold stories. Because the next reveal changes everything. Before DNA tests became a buzzword, before Ancestry was sold in shiny kits, there were quiet labs in North Macedonia, tucked away behind old hospital walls. Cold rooms, bright lights, and tired eyes. Scientists working through the night, running experiments while the world outside changed with every headline. Wars came and went, leaders swapped, budgets ran dry. But still, these scientists pressed on, holding onto their mission like it was the only thing that mattered. They started with what they had. Blood samples, hospital records, the bones of children lost too young. In 1972, they peered into chromosomes for the first time. Years later, they found odd hemoglobin types, strange shapes in the blood, never seen before. It was a clue, a whisper from the past. They published their findings quietly. Few people noticed. But these blood differences meant something. Traces of old migrations, of mixed origins, something no textbook had written. Then, at the ancient site of Stoby, scientists brushed dust from old skulls and found even more. A disease, thalassemia, showed up in bones that had rested since the 2nd century BC. Why here? Why in this land? So far from where anyone expected. The clues piled up, each hinting that North Macedonia's story was older, deeper, and more tangled than anyone wanted to admit. It wasn't easy work. Money was tight. Some labs shut down, others moved into basements. But these scientists, some with families to feed, some hiding their research from politics, kept going. They built the foundations for a future they couldn't yet see. And still, most people had no idea. They didn't know about the blood markers, the ancient bones, the tiny mutations passed quietly from mother to daughter, father to son. These discoveries waited in the dark, until one day, a new kind of technology would arrive. Something powerful enough to read every hidden letter, every secret carried for centuries. But in the search for answers, a new technology would expose secrets no one was prepared for. Imagine standing in a quiet Macedonian valley at sunrise. Mist rolls over green hills. Somewhere, a farmer's old hand scatters seed, just as his ancestors did, long before history wrote their names. But whose ancestors, really? Dig down, beneath stone and earth, and you'll find the secrets of the first people here. The Peony tribe, half legend, half memory, who shaped this land with simple tools and dreams of belonging. Their faces are gone, their language lost, but their DNA still flows quietly in the blood of those who call this place home. Before the Peony, others walked these fields. Wild hunters followed rivers, left their campfires by the water's edge. Later, farmers from the warm south, strangers carrying grains, stories, and strange new customs, moved in, carving out lives from wild ground. Their bones, their teeth, their silent genes, still echo in the people of North Macedonia. Mediterranean blood, ancient and restless. Neolithic farmers with calloused hands, passing down rituals nobody remembers, but everybody repeats. Sometimes, during a village festival, you'll see it. A dance step that never changed. Bread shaped the way it was shaped before Rome, before empires. Songs sung with words that make no sense. Echoes from a time before time. The old women nod, the children follow, never guessing how deep those roots go. Scientists look deeper, searching for lost names in blood. They find the I2 marker, hunter-gatherers who survived endless winters. The V13 and J markers, farmers from Anatolia, far away. Layer after layer, each invasion, each war, each lost tribe should have wiped them away. But the DNA stayed, hidden, mixed, but never erased. Through famine, plague, conquerors, and kings, the ghosts of the first settlers never really left. And just as people start to believe they know their own story, just as the picture comes into focus, something huge stirs beyond the horizon, because a faraway empire was about to change North Macedonia's DNA forever. The story everyone believes: Romans came, built roads, ruled these hills, left their mark on everything. Marble statues, Latin words carved in stone, coins stamped with the faces of long-dead emperors. For centuries, children were taught that Rome changed Macedonia's blood, too. That maybe, in the veins of every local, there flowed a drop of Italic power. But what if this is all just a shadow? What if the real story was buried under centuries of dust, missed by every history book? Scientists tested the DNA, looking for the genes of Roman conquerors. They found something almost no one expected. Instead of Italian roots, there was a different signal, a wave of ancestors from Anatolia, the old land across the sea, now called Turkey. Not a trickle, but a flood. Men and women, merchants, soldiers, slaves, crossing borders for reasons lost to time. They settled here, married here, grew old in Macedonian soil, leaving a strong mark on the genes that no statue could ever show. And yet, so little trace of Italy. No army of Italian blood hidden in the bones. The Roman influence, it turns out, was made of laws, roads, new gods, and money, not of flesh and blood. The empire ruled the land, yes, but the people stayed almost the same, only learning to speak and dress and pray like Romans, while their DNA told another tale. The empire changed minds, not lineages. In the ground, archaeologists dig up pottery with strange shapes, coins with foreign gods, bracelets and broken glass that look like they sailed from the east. These things whisper about unknown ancestors, about the journeys that never made it into legend. So, what did Romanization really mean, if not turning everyone into Romans? Maybe it was the art of mixing cultures, of teaching people to look Roman, while their bones kept the secrets of older worlds. But as the centuries turned, and empires rose and fell, something else was brewing in the shadows. Because hidden among the ruins, stranger faces would appear, bearing DNA from even more distant lands. Somewhere in a forgotten cemetery, just beyond the reach of city noise, archaeologists lift a child's skull from the earth. The bones are old, almost 2,000 years. No name, no record. But when they test the DNA, a chill runs through the lab. This boy is no local. His closest match is found thousands of kilometers away, far south, in the heart of Africa, Sudan. What brought him here, across deserts, rivers, and seas, to rest forever at the edge of a Roman frontier? This is not an accident. The scientists find more. Skulls shaped in strange ways, foreheads pressed flat by mothers' hands, a custom from the wild northern steppe. Faces of people the Romans called barbarians, strangers from endless grasslands, now buried next to Macedonian children. And still more, traces of traders, craftsmen, slaves, each one carrying a map written in their genes, paths that crossed continents, sometimes by choice, often by force. The Roman Empire drew people from everywhere. Soldiers marched in from the Danube. Persian merchants arrived with silk. Mothers cradled babies, with eyes shaped by a dozen bloodlines. In crowded market streets, you could hear every language, see every color, buy spices or stories from any world. Sometimes families arrived together, holding on to hope. Sometimes they were torn apart, names forgotten, memories washed away, but a thread of DNA left behind. In the villages, this mixing was both gift and wound. Children grew up hearing stories from two worlds, never sure where they truly belonged. Some kept the old ways, some blended into the crowd. Identity became a question nobody could answer, a riddle hidden in the faces of the living and the bones of the dead. But this was just the beginning. The real wave, the one that would drown the old world and write a new story in every cell, was already gathering speed. Yet the most profound transformation was still to come. From the north, an unstoppable tide. The sky darkens, wind rising over the forests and rivers of old Europe. In the silence, you hear footsteps, first a few, then thousands, families moving as one, pushing carts, leading cattle, carrying sleeping babies wrapped in old blankets. They are not warriors, not conquerors, but whole villages on the move. Generation after generation, Slavic people leaving behind burned fields, broken dreams, chasing hope into the unknown. They come from the north, wave after wave, crossing mountains and valleys, weaving through wild woods, settling in the land that will become North Macedonia. They bring their songs, their prayers, the smell of wood smoke and soup, secret stories whispered by the fire. In every village they reach, something changes. New words blend with the old tongue. Recipes mix. Laughter and sorrow spill into unfamiliar homes, and the soil itself absorbs the sound of Slavic footsteps. Centuries later, scientists read the story written in bones and blood. The evidence is clear. Up to 60% of the northern ancestry, woven tight like thread, belongs to these Slavic families. They find the I2 and R1A markers, like fingerprints pressed deep into history. Silent proof of a migration so big it changed everything. The old lineages did not disappear. They mixed, clung to each other, shaped new lives. And even now, when spring arrives, you see old rituals, wreaths woven from wildflowers, bread baked with hidden coins, songs sung in circles that twist and turn with ancient rhythm. Most people have forgotten where these traditions began. They don't know their meaning, only that something in the blood stirs each time the music starts. They are still connected, still carrying memories of a journey their ancestors never told. But a question lingers, heavy as a storm that won't pass. If so much of this nation came from somewhere else, if outsiders shaped its language, its culture, even its genes, what does that make the people who live here now? But can a nation be shaped by outsiders and still claim a single identity? Somewhere under a field near the village of Kunabuki, a shovel strikes stone. Not just any stone, a shape carved by human hands, left untouched for thousands of years. Archaeologists clear away the earth, working in the early morning light, revealing secrets buried deeper than memory. They find axes chipped from river rocks, blackened by age, bits of pottery, painted with lines no one can read, coins, one old enough to remember the lifetime of Alexander the Great himself, threads from a loom, pieces of lost cloth, tell of people who spun and wove before there was a country called Macedonia. Step by step, the ground gives up a city's bones. Was this place just a military post, or was it something bigger? Some whisper that the very grandmother of Alexander the Great might have taken her first breath here, long before empires rose and fell. It's a feeling that lingers in the air, heavy and electric, a sense that every stone could change everything we think we know. But these are not just objects. Scientists bring new eyes to the old ruins. They use LiDAR, a magic light that sees through trees and grass, mapping streets and walls no map has ever shown. And with DNA, they reach even further back. Each fragment of bone, every ancient tooth, is tested for stories hidden in blood. They match the finds to genetic markers, names and faces from vanished ages. The city beneath the earth is brought back to life, not just with hands and tools, but with the power of science and memory working as one. History is remade, scene by scene, clue by clue. But every answer sparks another question. As the dust settles and the light fades over Greatest, a deeper conflict rises to the surface. Because even as science clarifies the past, new battles over identity are ignited in the present. The city square fills with music and flags. Statues rise on new pedestals, giants from the past, cast in stone and bronze. Politicians give speeches, promising that the blood of ancient Macedonians runs pure and strong through every modern vein. School books change. Street names change. Stories passed from one generation to the next become sharper, more certain, as if the past is not just history, but destiny. The Antiquization movement grows, an idea that today's people are direct children of Alexander the Great, unbroken and untouched by time. But in kitchens and living rooms, the debate feels different. Grandparents argue with grandchildren. Neighbors turn away. Some children learn one story at home and a different story in class. Identity becomes a tug-of-war. Who are we, really? Where do we come from? Can a test, a map, a legend decide who belongs and who is an outsider? Into this storm comes a new promise, DNA. Private companies offer simple answers for a fee. Take a test, send your saliva, and you'll know if you are a true Macedonian. The news explodes. A company claims 30% ancient Macedonian blood, only 15% Slavic. Politicians wave the results like victory banners. But soon, the truth unravels. The company backtracks, admits their data isn't real science, that labels like antic mean nothing. Quietly, the numbers vanish from their website, but the damage is done. Hope and pride turn to anger, confusion, and disappointment. Real scientists step forward, holding uncomfortable truths. The DNA shows a mix: hunter-gatherer, farmer, migrant, invader, and yes, Slavic too. There's no pure line, no single story. But some people refuse to listen, clinging to myths that feel safer than facts. In homes across the country, families struggle to accept what this really means. Some feel their pride slipping away. Others sense something new, a freedom to belong, even if the past is mixed and messy. But beneath the arguments, the DNA says something more radical about who truly belongs. A border, sometimes marked by nothing but a thin river, a lonely checkpoint, a fading sign. On one side, people speak Macedonian. Across the water, Bulgarian. Over the next hill, Serbian. Down the road, Greek. The songs are different, the flags, the prayers, each village teaching its children to remember who they are and who they are not. Yet, when scientists open the old books of DNA, the lines start to blur, the differences melt away. The blood tells a secret, that these rivals are cousins, that the history of division is much younger than the history of kinship. In small border villages, families gather for weddings and funerals. Sometimes, a guest is asked quietly, "Where you really from?" An uncle remembers a time before the fences, before passports were needed just to visit a friend. Grandmothers whisper about marriages across the border, about a family recipe that tastes the same on both sides, about a song that brings tears no matter what language it's sung in. The laughter and grief are shared, the faces so similar. A stranger could mistake one for another. Scientists see it in the data, shared genetic markers flowing like water under the border, linking North Macedonians to Serbs, Bulgarians, and Greeks. Language changed, borders moved, new nations were born, but the roots stayed tangled, impossible to pull apart. The things that once divided are surface deep: accent, anthem, flag. Underneath, there's a story of families split by politics, but united by blood. Some leaders try to use identity as a weapon, but the scientists stand up, urging everyone to see what is really there. Not enemies, not strangers, but people with the same ancient past, bound by migrations, love, and survival. A new way of seeing each other, not as rivals, but as distant family. And just when the picture seems complete, new discoveries raise even bigger questions. Somewhere out there, under empty fields, in the darkness of forgotten caves, answers are waiting, still buried, untouched by the world above. A farmer plows his land, never knowing that just below his feet lies a bone, a tooth, a shard of pottery that could rewrite the story of a people. Each stone, each root, hides the secret of someone's journey, a migration, a lost child, a forbidden love, an empire's collapse. The soil of North Macedonia is full of questions that nobody has asked yet. Scientists stand over maps marked with red dots, places still unexplored, villages with legends nobody ever wrote down. What else is waiting in the ground? Another ancient city, a tribe no one has named, A link to ancestors we cannot even imagine? Somewhere, a forgotten burial site may hold the key to why a family has a certain look, why a festival uses a special word, why the music of one region carries a hint of something foreign. There are still genetic lineages, hidden, silent, unbroken, that have never been traced. Now, for the first time, the search is not just for one nation or one flag. Scientists from all over the Balkans work side by side. Serbs, Macedonians, Greeks, Bulgarians, driven by the same burning question. Where did we really come from? Their meetings are full of hope and tension, of disagreements and laughter. Old rivalries fade a little when faced with the puzzle of shared blood. Each discovery opens 100 new doors. Sometimes the truth is stranger than any legend. Sometimes the bones whisper names that were never spoken, places never marked on a map. The deeper they dig, the more mysterious everything becomes. And so the search goes on. Every day, new evidence. Every year, new questions. In the end, our DNA links us not only to our ancestors, but to one another. The next chapter is already being written.